Hey guys, Luke here from Flukes Kitesurfing, and in this video we're going to go through how you can self-launch your kite. This is how I self-launch the kite pretty much every time I've got a sandy area. It's how I do it on the daily. So I thought I'd make a quick video that explains how I like to do it most of the time. And we'll go through it step by step, and then I'll give you a sort of real-time demo, so how fast I normally do it just when I'm by myself, and also some final tips. So let's get into it. So the first step to self-launching this way is to a little bit of planning when you're setting up. So I've got the wind coming from over this way, and I've set up the bar and lines 100% downwind. And the first thing is to decide which way you're going to go. So I know I'm going to walk around that way to self-launch because we need to be perpendicular. So I put a little bit of sand on the wing tip, close to the wing tip anyway, furthest away from where I'll be standing. This just helps the kite sort of roll up, and you don't want too much sand because the kite won't like to launch. So just enough to hold it down, it's not going to fly away, and furthest away from where you're going to launch. So now we'll go and grab the bar. Okay, so now that we're at the bar, we're going to do a pre-flight check. Because it's a downwind setup, we've got our red on the right, or in this case the white is the right on this bar. And we need to do a pre-flight check and make sure we don't have any tangles in the lines, no twists. So making sure our lines are free and clear. Really important because you don't get a second chance when you're self-launching. The next step is to attach the chicken loop to your harness, and of course the safety on there as well. And we don't want to let the bar spin around, so you're holding the bar, making sure we've still got our lines free and clear, no twists. And the next step, we're going to start walking around until we're perpendicular to the wind. So right now we're completely downwind of the kite. We're going to walk in an arc to either direction. When we're about to start walking, or deciding on which side you're going to go, depends on how you flip the bar. Of course, we've got red on the right now, so we need to flip it over. If we're going to walk this way, you actually lift up that side, the side closest to the direction, and flip it over that way. If we're going to walk this way, you actually pick up this side and flip it over that way, and that way you've got no twists when you get to the launch. So we're going this way, so I'm going to flip over the bar like that, and now I know that I'm set up. And the next step is to actually walk in an arc around the kite. So we don't want to just sort of walk randomly over there with slack lines. If you can keep just a gentle tension, you can see those front lines just have a slight tension on them. And we're just going to walk around in sort of a radius. So we'll slowly start walking, and you'll see what it starts to do is it'll start to pull on the furthest wingtip away from us, and hopefully stand it up into a launch position, similar to the way that you would do a normal water relaunch where you're going to steer the kite up from its wingtip. That's what we're hoping to get with a self-launch like this. The kite might slide, sometimes it slides back, sometimes it stands right up, but because we've got this clear, open, sandy area, it doesn't really matter if the kite moves around a little bit. So once we get to about this stage, if I pull on that, maybe you can see the wingtip starting to move. So as that starts to happen, the kite's starting to get ready to sort of want to jump up and fly. When I'm launching it, the next step will be to steer the kite up into the air. I actually like to use sort of the leader line and just gently steer the kite up, let go, and let the kite fly up. We'll go through that again with some tips in a second, but I just wanted to say it before I do it here. So the kite starts to move. Okay, and now you'll start to see the canopy start to fill up with air. You'll see it there. Sliding back, and then let go. And regain control of the kite. Okay, so let's go through a couple of tips. So the first tip is to not oversteer the kite. So when you're pulling on the leader line and having the kite steer up into the sky, you don't want to hold onto that line too much and have the kite actually turn backwards and go crashing over to the other side. I think it's probably the number one common mistake with launching this way. And so you can actually practice it even like I'm doing right now, where I'll just rest and release, the kite sitting on its wingtip. We're going to pull on the leader line. The kite will start to tilt backwards, anticipate that, and then it will shoot forward up into the sky. So don't hold it until it's actually launched, that'll be too late. It'll roll backwards, leading edge is sort of pointing up, let go and let it fly up. So let's go through it. Grab the leader line, steer the kite until it's ready to steer up, let go. You can see it sort of shoots up into the sky like that. One more time, grab the leader line, steer it up and let go. That one's a lot slower, regain control of the kite and you're off. So the second tip that I have for you is as we're walking around in the arc, I actually sort of pinch my finger here on the bar, and so I can hold the bar from sheeting out. So it stops it sheeting out. The reason I'm doing it is I keep a constant pull pressure in between here and the chicken loop, so the chicken loop doesn't go slack and potentially sort of flop off the side of your hook. Even though the stick is holding that on, that can actually be a common problem. If you're walking around and the chicken loop falls like that, you load it up and it can actually flip off and it will pull through that and pop, boom. So that's called a false eject. That can also be a common problem. So what I do, again, whenever I'm walking into position to launch my kite at any time, I grab the bar, I hold it sort of sheeted out, because you don't want to hold it like this when you're walking around anyway. You don't want fully sheeted in. So I hold it sheeted out, but then I pinch it between my fingers so I can really control the tension that's onto the chicken loop right here. So the next and final tip that I have for you is about choosing the right kite size for the wind. So this is more of a safety precaution. For me personally, I can do this in all winds, and I do it in sort of every wind as long as I've got a nice clear open area. But saying that, as soon as it gets to about 30, 35 knots and above, I try and avoid this, just in case something happens when the kite launches. So something, you know, a freak sort of thing could happen. A line could get caught around a stick that's sticking out of the sand. You know, a bridle might get caught around one of the wingtips of the kite itself and send the kite into a bit of a loop. So you need to be thinking about that while you're launching. You might even have one hand on the chicken loop ready to eject, just in case something does happen when you self-launch. Of course, picking the right kite size for the wind strength is really important as well, because you're not going to have somebody holding the kite there, you launch it, you feel overpowered, you know, land the kite. You don't have that luxury. So you need to know that you have the right kite size for the amount of wind, so be confident in that, and maybe even err on the side of caution. You can also depower the bar, so that before you launch, if you think, oh, that might be a bit overpowered here, depower the bar so you're at least not holding too much power in the kite when it launches. Okay, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching as usual. Hopefully that was helpful, and you can let us know any questions. If you have questions, put them in the comments box. Happy to help anyone out. That's something that we love getting down here and making videos. So thanks for supporting us and watching our videos. Really appreciate it. Luke here, and we'll see you in coming videos.